Well, everyone complained that Trump playing around with tariffs was going to collapse the stock market. And all it did was have a pullback like it has a couple of times a year, every couple of years. So I want to go through what's going on with tariffs, members of Congress, the stock market. To help me go through all that, I have trading expert Ross Givens. Ross, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, my pleasure, Stephen. Good to see you.
So you have decades of Wall Street experience. You were high up at one of the largest banks in America. I like to have you on every couple weeks to help my audience understand what's going on in Congress. What are your thoughts on the success of Elon Musk and Doge finding hundreds of billions of dollars of wasted taxpayer money?
Well, I think we all knew it was there, right? And I love the comments from Elon coming out saying the people who complain first and complain loudest are the ones doing the stealing, and that's exactly what we've seen. You know, these NGOs, the cover is finally coming off. These non-government organizations being funded by government dollars, being run by Democratic politicians who are mysteriously rich. Like it's not a giant surprise to anybody, but it's nice to see it, the lid kind of blown off. I mean, you know, when we've got a government spending $1 trillion, $2 trillion more than it brings in every year, that's what causes the inflation. And I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, or somewhere in the middle. One thing and one thing only causes inflation, and that is the government spending more than they take in because they print more dollars to cover the difference. And when you put more money into a system with the same amount of goods and services, the price of those goes up, period, hard stop. So if they can get rid of that, at least a good chunk of that waste, then, you know, our bills will come down. We'll spend less money and they can actually control this inflation.
Yeah, I read what Trump had inherited when he took over in 2017 from Barack Obama, and we were running around $900 billion. Now up over $2 trillion. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And new reports are coming out that, you know, they were basically just juicing the markets. They were juicing the economy, making everything look really good. 25% of all jobs created under Joe Biden were more government workers.
Yes.
Which means it's just more and more money that's needed from the American taxpayer in order to pay those salaries. And then you find out, what do a lot of these people do? And then these NGOs, you find out they're taking our money, giving it to a non-government organization. And what are those people doing? They're flooding the country with illegal immigrants, which then costs hundreds of billions of dollars to give them free health care, free cell phone, free food, free hotel. And then we wonder why inflation got out of control.
Yeah, no, it's exactly it. The jobs thing's the biggest part because Biden, you know, he didn't know what's going on, but he says, oh, look at all the jobs we created, right? First of all, government doesn't create jobs, but like you said, 1 in 4 was a government job. It was the leading sector in the entire economy for 4 years. Those aren't real jobs. If you take those away, it's even, they're actually net lost jobs because you've got to pull money from you and me and nurses and firefighters and teachers to pay for them. So it wasn't real growth. And you know, listen, there's going to be a little adjustment in the economy. It's used to fake jobs numbers, fake inflation reports. Now we're getting real data. So, you know, the market is going to adjust and interest rates are going to adjust. And that's part of it. But long term, the health of the U.S. economy, our system, our stock market is going to be a multiple of what it would have been 5, 10, 20 years down the road.
Yeah. I see a lot of foreign governments, foreign banks, foreign companies, they're committing hundreds of billion. I mean, Trump has now brought in trillions of dollars of new investment. Yes. I think it's because they see we have a safe border, we have a pro-business, lower tax president. I'm just really excited to see what is going to come of this new U.S. economy. Of course, you have Representative Tim Burchett of Tennessee saying, as we start to dig into these NGOs, you're going to find out that a lot of members of Congress have wives or husbands or boyfriends or children that are working for this, and that's how they're getting all of this money. On top of that, you have the insider trading that I want to go into with you. Specifically, I want to look at Nancy Pelosi, Elizabeth Warren, and a few others. But about every 6 weeks, you guys have a free training that I like to make my people aware of. When is that new training on how to trade the stock market, like members of Congress and executives?
Yeah, well, actually, you got pretty good timing. It's coming up this Wednesday. So Wednesday, the 19th, it's 3 o'clock Eastern. And like always, these events are totally free. They're online. And, the big thing people don't realize, we know that they're corrupt. We know they're trading inside information. What people don't realize is you can see the stocks they buy when they buy them. And so you may not like it that Pelosi's made $200 million in DC. I don't like it either. But the fact is, she's a better stock picker than Warren Buffett or anybody on Wall Street. She's cheating, but the facts are there. So why wouldn't I want to know when she's buying a new stock? And people, this stuff is online. It's free. It's reported, and not just politicians, but CEOs, CFOs, executives, board members. You don't think they've got a huge edge, like timing when they buy their own stock right before they're about to get an FDA drug approval or do some big merger, give a government contract? And so this is a huge edge available to everyday people. And if you know where to look and what to look for, it's not hard. It's all free information. You can piggyback their trades. And we've been doing this for 7 years. Stephen, we've never had a losing year. We've beat the market every single year. Not because I'm any smarter than anybody else, but because all we are doing is following the trades, these politicians and these insiders. So yeah, I encourage everybody to come. I think you're going to put a link below this video, but click that name, email, Wednesday, 19th, 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll send you all the details. It'll be eye-opening.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll put that down below. Okay, one thing I wanted to talk about, Elon Musk every year is harassed by Senator Elizabeth Warren saying he's not paying his fair share of taxes, yet you dig in, he literally has like the Guinness Book of World Records for the single human that has paid the most taxes to the government.
Most ever in the world, in history.
And now Elon Musk is asking one question. How is Elizabeth Warren worth $67 million on a 6-figure salary? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. How is Nancy Pelosi worth $200 million on a low 6-figure income? It doesn't make sense unless there's kickbacks, inside information. I mean, do you think Elon is going to be able to get to the bottom of that after he gets done digging into all this government corruption?
I think so. To be honest, I think he knows more than he's letting out right now. I don't think we truly grasp what kind of danger he's putting himself into. This is DC's grift, right? There's the NGOs, there's the kickbacks, there's the money coming from the military industrial complex, from the billion-dollar no-bid contracts they got. But the insider trading is another big part of it. And I found almost all of them do this because that's the hardest to track. If you get caught, oh, look, they transferred $40 million from this USAID to the NGO and it went right to Elizabeth Warren's checking account. You're caught red-handed. There's nothing you can do. If, however, they say, well, we're about to give this giant contract to this little company, the stock's $2, you may want to buy a few shares, and she makes $5 million on the trade like Pelosi does, you can suspect, you can 99% know, but you can't prove it. Right. Mm-hmm. And so that seems to be the vehicle they choose to use to grow this wealth. And there is egregious example after egregious example. It's been like this for a decade, but and even more now, I think they're definitely shifting toward that because you're right. Elon's going to uncover all this stuff. And if he gets access to everything, he's a smart guy. And he's got a lot of smart guys working for him. And this is the first time in my lifetime anybody's dug into this stuff and said, all right, like you said, how on earth you make $285,000 a year, Pocahontas? How are you worth $67 million? How are you even living in DC on the 285, right? So it doesn't add up.
That's a good point because it's very expensive to be in DC. Let me roll a clip here that I found pretty fascinating because you hit on something. I think Elon Musk knows more than he's letting on, but is his life in danger? And I think it actually might be. Let's watch this together.
Have a spouse that's really good at insider trading.
Yeah.
like Paul Pelosi.
It's a lot more than insider trading.
The way they're acquiring wealth.
Correct.
And what other methods?
I mean, this is really going to get me assassinated. It's like I'm not lengthening my lifespan by explaining this stuff, to say the least. I mean, I was supposed to go back to DC. How am I going to survive? This fucker's going to kill me for sure. I actually have to be careful that I don't push too hard on the corruption stuff because it's going to get me killed.
If I push too hard, it's going to get me killed. I believe he knows more than he's letting on. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I haven't seen that clip before, but I mean, yeah, that's my thoughts exactly. Because look, this is, we're not talking about somebody, they stole a candy bar, moved a couple $1,000s. You're talking about thousands and thousands of people who've built generational wealth, literally billions of dollars through these loopholes and these systems and these giant federal slush funds nobody knows about. It's not Elizabeth Warren that's going to come at him with a kitchen knife. It's the thousands and thousands of people. I mean, something like 7 or 8 of the 50 wealthiest suburbs in America surround DC, a city that has no industry, produces no products, no service whatsoever. Like, he's threatening the livelihood and the future of some very, very powerful people. And, if all it took was one bullet to stop it, there's lots of people who would pull that trigger.
Yeah, sadly. Okay, speaking of Elizabeth Warren, I found this video on Twitter where she's asking all the different ways that members of Congress could do insider trading. And I swear, listening to it, it's like she's trying to figure out the loopholes, not trying to hold this guy to account. Let me roll this and we'll watch it together.
All right.
So one of the biggest threats to a functioning market is insider trading. When some market participants get special access to information, they can use it to take advantage of everyone else. It is cheating, plain and simple.
Doesn't that sound like members of Congress?
And it is illegal. Even so, it happens. We've talked a lot today about one kind of market participant, and that is company executives who trade stock based on secret information they have about their businesses. But it can happen in other ways too. Sometimes a high-ranking government official might know about a change in government policy that can powerfully affect a corporation. Professor Jackson, you are one of the nation's top experts on insider trading. So let me run through some examples with you. If an official, let's say a member of Congress, learned that the federal government was about to award a company a huge new contract, and then that senator bought stock in that company before news of that contract was made public, could that be considered insider trading?
Yes, Senator, it could.
Okay, let's try another one. What about if that member of Congress attended a top secret briefing and learned that a company was facing big legal trouble? Could selling their stock before that company made that information public be considered insider trading?
Yes, Senator, it could.
Okay, and what if that member learned in a closed committee meeting of plans to boost the Pentagon's budget by tens of billions of dollars? If that member bought defense stock generally ahead of the markup, could that be considered insider trading?
Yes, Senator, it could.
I mean, like
literally, I've got examples of every single one of those things. They all do it. She knows it. They all know it.
It's almost like she's saying, do you guys know the playbook we're running?
Right. Like, it sounds like she's going, could this get me in trouble? What if I happen to have done this, hypothetically?
Yeah. What if I sit on a committee? I mean, what if someone else sits on a committee?
Yeah.
Let's do one more. What if that member held drug company stocks and learned from their committee chair that legislation to cut drug prices would be moving in the committee? And if they sold those stocks, could that be considered insider trading?
Yes, Senator, it could.
So members of Congress are in a unique position to obtain information that they can use to game the stock market. In fact, the risks with government officials are even higher than they are with most CEOs, because government officials can sometimes use their positions to influence private outcomes.
Can sometimes do that. Wow. Your
That's it.
reaction.
Well, look, I mean, I've got some examples here. Like she mentioned drug prices on pharmaceutical stocks on drug price. Rick Allen, remember the House of Representatives, was trading Merck, was trading Johnson & Johnson stock while he sat on that subcommittee working on prescription drug price legislation. She mentioned government contracts boosting the stock. Guess what? Representative Catherine Clark bought HoloLogic stock, this little tiny off-the-radar company in 2020, 1 week before her own committee awarded them a $120 million COVID testing contract. Like she mentioned, Pat Fallon bought Microsoft stock right before a $10 billion contract with the Pentagon for cloud computing. Like they all do this. Here's what's crazy to me. When I hear the Democrats, and I'm sure some Republicans do this too, but like the last 2 years has just been their constant defense is, no, I didn't, you did. That's what it feels like to me. Trump always threatening democracy, says the party who, wants illegals to be able to vote. Oh, he's going to weaponize the justice system, says the party who just weaponized the justice system, right? So now she's out here going, these dirty politicians are insider trading, while she's insider trading to make $67 million. It's like they think if they call it out, people will assume they're not the one doing it.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know. It's crazy.
One thing that stuck out to me in the last 12 months was during the investigation of Trump in the Southern District Court of New York with his accounting error that they made a misdemeanor and then brought in a porn star and all of that. It turns out he doesn't have much money in the stock market. And then you find out, like, as soon as America is getting ready to back Ukraine in fighting Russia, all these members of Congress start moving their stock money over to the military-industrial complex. Well, who doesn't want to end the war? Democrat and Republican members of Congress. Who does want to end the war? Donald Trump. It does make me wonder, like, they want money to keep going to the military-industrial complex because most of them hold stock in big pharma or in the big military stocks.
Yeah, and you can time the trades pretty well. So, and again, this is not ethical, but it's out there. So, like Blumenthal, member of Congress, he was buying defense stocks the day Russia invaded Ukraine. Just recently, there's a woman named Susie Lee in the House, and she hasn't bought any stock since like 2022. Okay, so she's not one of these people on my radar. And then back in May, she loads up a company called Rheinmetall. It's a German arms manufacturer. First trade she's made in like 3 years. That stock's up 160% since then, as of this morning. It's RNMBY. I think I sent you a chart. It may be on the screen there, but like it's crazy. And of course, Pelosi, right? Pelosi, she's still up to her old tricks. Her most recent trade is this company called Tempest AI. She bought January 14th, and she didn't just buy the stock. She bought call options, loaded up on the thing, leverage play. And you can see in that screenshot, so if you look at the dates, the trade took place on Jan 14. It was disclosed on Jan 17. So on January 17th, me and everybody else, all of you watching this, have access to this information. You can see, here's the stock she's buying, here's the call option she bought. And then look at the chart. Look what the stock did. Not only did she time the low perfectly, that stock's like tripled in a month. Her options is quadrupled. And then the same goes on the top side. When you're watching these people, watch when they're selling stocks. They have incredible timing. Pelosi, again, she's been buying Apple stock for like 5 years. And that's really nothing. I mean, it's one of the biggest companies out there. It's a great firm. Tons of people own Apple. No big deal. But she sold it all on New Year's Eve, December 31st, dumped like $20 million worth. And it was within like 2%. That stock is down like 30% since then, 20%, something like, I mean, she nailed the high. So it's just incredible, the timing they have, the fact that they magically select these stocks so well at the right time before the big government contracts. And again, Warren, mentioned this, but we see the same thing at company executives. If you're the CEO of a little biotech company in the middle of drug trial results, the results of which are going to either soar your stock to the it's going to make it double, triple, quadruple, or it's going to tank. Well, if I suddenly see that you put 3 times your annual salary into your own company stock at market prices right before these trials, it's like you clearly think something's going well. And again, we can see this stuff in real time. Follow along. We've been doing it for 6 years. And so if people are not watching this information, if they're not seeing what stocks Congress is buying, what stocks these executives are buying, you are leaving tons of money on the table. You are leaving one of the biggest advantages you have as an individual and a retail trader, and really the only way to level the playing field. So I encourage people to come to this training this Wednesday. It is free. It's online. Anybody can attend. I'll show you how to do all this. I'll show you where the database is, how to find the stocks, all of it. You've seen our research, Stephen. I mean, we send this out to our members, and it's worked beautifully for better part of a decade now.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like the difference between the rich and the poor is they can buy expertise, right? They can buy a lawyer. That's why the IRS, they say, we're going after the millionaires and the billionaires. Well, who do they go after? They go after middle class and lower income families because they don't have lawyers, right? Same thing with stocks. You can buy expertise and get ahead. Business, you can get ahead. So that's the one thing that I like about this is you guys show people how to do that, but then you've got a team of researchers that are digging in. I don't have time to do all this. I'm working 80 hours a week, 7 days a week, trying to cover President Trump. My gosh, it's just absolutely insane. So I appreciate what you guys do. Okay, so that training is on not January. My gosh, this year's going by so fast. March 19th at 3 p.m. Eastern.
That's right. Yeah, and it is the only thing I should say. The software we use, they're working on a bigger one, but right now it caps at 1,000 attendees. Last one we did filled up, and when 1,000 people come in there, won't let anybody new in. So I would encourage you, go ahead and register now. One thing we're doing now, everybody who, even if you can't come live, register for it. We're going to send you our most recent stock pick. So you'll see this little company, all these insiders are buying, what's going on, how much money to the penny they put in. So we'll give you all of our research. We'll show you what's available to you. And like you said, this can be a lot of work. I mean, some of them are just no-brainers, but that's why we have this service. At the end of the training session, I'll tell people about it. If you're like, look, this looks great, Ross, you guys know what you're doing. Send me the information. I'll show you how to get that as well. But it's a free event. I'm going to show you everything, how to do this, what our best winners have had in common. I'll show you the loophole that allows them to basically insider trade legally, why this is allowed. And, it's been really eye-opening for most people who've attended.
I want to know how Nancy Pelosi knew to buy the exact bottom and ride that up, and how she knew to buy to sell at the exact time. I mean, it's spooky. It is,
but she's such a powerful person. I mean, she's been essentially one of the top 3 people in the Democratic Party for 2 decades. She's got friends all over the place, and you don't think those people want to earn some favor with Nancy Pelosi, one of the ultimate power brokers in D.C. These people are coming out of the woodworks going, if you can get me a call, Nancy, hey, this is XYZ CEO. Blue Horseshoe loves Tempest AI, wink, wink. So down the road, maybe she does them a favor, gets them out of jail, talks to the AG for them, right? So, it's crazy. But look, use her advantage. You can be mad. It's not ethical. It's not good, but use it to your advantage. Follow the same stocks, and I think you'll be surprised what you can do.
Yeah. Well, Ross, thank you for all the research you do. I always find these discussions to be interesting. And I hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks, Stephen. You as well.